Okay.
Yeah.
We see. Yeah. Maybe make it in full screen and
Yes,
leave it now. Oh, we see first and second slide. Maybe better to see only first slide. If you
and I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know why it's okay. Like
it's yeah, it's somewhere regulated, but I'm not sure where exactly.
it's weird that it doesn't like. It doesn't. This we don't need.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Vitaly. We're having some technical issues here.
Yeah, it's usually like that with the Zoom.
And your voice comes. I don't know if it's just me, but your voice is very funny.
Yes.
No,
yes,
it's not. It's
Vitaly.
not just the same for us as well. It is funny.
It's something wrong. Something wrong.
Now it
Vitaly.
should be better.
Oh,
now it should be
now-
better.
Okay. Yes, I was
Okay.
worried, Vitaly, that something happened. I don't know why. Like, let me stop sharing and see if I share again. What happens?
It's just the way how PowerPoint works with Zoom.
Really?
I know. Yeah, I had the same issue. There's some control can help you, but I don't recall what it is.
Here it is. I'm sharing again. And what do you see now? Now it should be fine.
It's okay, but could you convert to full screen?
Yes, I'm gonna get there. One sec. Just takes. Okay. Now, when I convert,
okay,
it goes to the next slide. Yeah.
Now is okay. Yes. Now
Okay.
we see only first slide. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Maybe we will wait 1 minute and we'll start. Yeah. Dear colleagues, I propose to start, and my first ask to you to have your microphones muted, except speakers, and you can unmute them on the Q&A session. And I welcome you on our today online meeting with Davide Rubini, who is head of regulatory affairs of company Vitol. Topic is integrating the Ukraine biomethane industry, the EU biomethane market, with a focus on integration in the Union database, UDB. We will manage the seminar in English without translation, as you see. Davide Rubini is heading the regulatory affairs team for gas, power, and environmental products in the MENA region. Previously held similar roles for Shell and Equinor, chair of the EFET Taskforce on Central and Eastern Europe, chair of the EU Biomethane Industry Partnership Task Force for Ukraine. Davide, welcome, and the floor is yours, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me. And just to be very clear, I know I'm talking to a very well-educated audience on the matter. So apologies if I say things that may be obvious to you. But I see this really as an opportunity to bring a perspective, a European trader or a global trader, but active in everywhere in Europe, and also a player very much interested in the Ukrainian. There is a bit of echo. Can you...
Yes.
Yuri Matveev, could you mute the line?
Please, please mute your microphones. Yes, please.
Okay. So I was saying, like, we come with a perspective of the entire European markets for biomethane, and not just that, but also with a very strong interest in seeing the potential for biomethane production in Ukraine come to stream. There are like 5 slides that I put together, but really the first 2 would tell you a story that surely already quite well. You know where the biggest potential for biomethane production is in Ukraine. You know that it is big. You know that Ukraine has a large well-functioning gas infrastructure ready to be used also to deliver biomethane production. And you know very well that there is a general strong commitment from the government at all levels to build the regulatory and legal framework necessary to lift this opportunity. So I'm happy to jump over the first 2 slides and then focus on the others. Before I do that, just for the benefit of everyone, it's probably good if I say, why Vitol is we believe is an important voice in this debate. Well, as a company, Vitol has started entering the space of more or less 3 years ago, which is when I joined the company. And when we took set foot in this space, we first of all, we tried to identify which was the destination market, the sink as we call it, most profitable in Europe, and in what sector was the one that could deliver more value. And it's not a complex analysis. It takes very little to understand that Germany is the primary destination market, and that the transport sector is the primary sector. So then what we did was that we acquired a network of retail station in Germany for LNG, for trucks. And we became the 2nd largest supplier of LNG, and therefore potentially bio-LNG in Germany. This company is called Vigo. It belongs to the Vitol sphere and ecosphere, and it's now active also in the UK with 5-6 stations, both LNG and looking into CNG, and we are looking to a number of other markets. So once we had built the sink, and so the number of markets and sectors that were the biomethane could be delivered by us, we started looking at offtakes of biomethane. And inevitably, because it's the beginning, you look at the biggest current producer of biomethane. So that would be Denmark, it would be the UK, but then also Germany and Italy. So those were the countries where we set foot initially. But very quickly, it became clear to us that Ukraine was the place to go to get more biomethane. So we started looking at it, and then that's where we started stumbling on a number of obstacles that as of today make it impossible, other than if you're exporting biomethane liquefied at site and transported to Europe via trucks, which obviously from the environmental point of view makes and also economic point of view makes very little sense. So already many months ago, not the only company, but there are other companies out there that have done the same. We embarked on a number of conversations to try to unlock these obstacles, and we've been talking to the Commission extensively in a number of opportunities, as much as to Ukrainian authorities, to German authorities. And the problem of this conversation, unfortunately, is that instead of getting simpler, they got more and more complex. And so that's where we are today. Okay, so all this as an intro, and I'll go straight to the topic of the day. which is the role of the Union database in tracking the molecules of biomethane across Europe, and how the Ukrainian production can be part of that system. Okay, so I'm going here to these slides. What this slide says, it's with a few colors, says that there are fundamentally 6 regulatory angles to consider when when as a market participant you want to bring biomethane to the right consumers. First one is the gas quality specification. We know that this was an issue in Ukraine a few months ago. It has been solved. Biomethane with its specific qualities can enter the Ukrainian gas grid, and from there move on to the European grid. So that problem doesn't exist anymore. Then there should be a general right to export volumes, and unfortunately this is a problem that Ukraine must solve, and we'll talk about it later. At the moment, biomethane is understood by the custom authorities as natural gas, and as such is subject to the export ban. So biomethane for the moment cannot be taken out of the Ukrainian grid. It can only exit the country in the form of bio-LNG. Then there is another chapter which has to do with certificates and guarantee of origins. Now, biomethane at the molecular level, as you know, is just natural gas. Yeah, there is a bit of it's just natural gas. Therefore, it requires additional specification to be understood as bio. And this can come in the form of certificates or guarantee of origins. Now, it's important to make a very strong distinction between certificates, let's call them, or proof of sustainability, and guarantee of origins. They are two very different things in the legal space in Europe. Certificates and proof of sustainability are those documents that you need in order to deliver biomethane to the so-called compliance sectors. So those sectors where there is obligated parties that have to reach a target. Okay, and then you have guarantee of origins. Guarantee of origins may, to an extent, contain similar same information of the certificates, but they are not a compliance tool. They are just a disclosure tool, i.e., something that can be sold separately from the molecule because they're a book and claim based system, and they just there to allow the consumer to say, I'm using green stuff. But guarantee of origins are not a compliance tool. This is very clear in the Renewable Energy Directive, both 2 and 3. And if we don't understand this distinction, we risk making a lot of mistakes in the policy choices that otherwise we would be making. And that's the third block. Then there is a fourth block is the here I say explicitly integration of the GOs or of the registries in the Union database. One could say something, stay a little bit more general in this respect, to say that there is a need for registries, national registries, to be integrated in the Union database, which is this new system that the European Commission has created, and without a sound technical link between the registries and the Union database, you will face some problems. Okay. And then there is the general discussion on acceptability of biomethane in a compliance market. This basically has to do with the fact that as an economic operator, you need to prove that your biomethane has been produced in a sustainable manner and has been transported in a way that can be verified, and that's the mass balancing verification, which can be treated also separately as a final block out there. Okay, so these are the 6 building blocks that one has to keep in mind when when having a conversation around exporting biomethane and importing it into another market. As you can see, the picture is mostly yellow and green, and this tells us that there is still a lot of work to be done, and there are 2 red areas, and the 2 red areas have to do with the export rights and the integration with the union database. Okay, so let's go into the specific of the last point, because this is really what's going on. I see. Okay. Okay. I don't know. There was some pop-up that was coming up in on the screen here. So, what's the situation? What are the issues related to the UN database and the integration? So, what we have in RED 2, but also in RED 3, is the following, or specifically in RED 3. RED 3 tells us that by the 21st of November 2024, a union database must be set up and must be the single system to tracing liquid and gaseous renewable fuels that are consumed by European consumers. Okay, and the regulation also says that that the economic operators, so the traders and the producers and all the parties that all the entities that take part to the market have to enter the data in the union database for each transaction. And the inclusion of the data in the union database has to cover both the sustainability characteristics of the transacted fuel, and including the life cycle emissions and the mass balancing aspects. Okay, this is all the Renewable Energy Directive says. So to said in a different way, what we are told by the directive is that if you are delivering renewable gases to European consumers, the data on the transaction of such gases must be reflected in the union database. That's it. The union database doesn't define whether Europe can or cannot import biomethane from third countries, or at least this is our interpretation. Then there is another part of RED that clarifies the role of guarantee of origins, and notwithstanding what I said before, i.e. that guarantee of origins are not a compliance tool, but they're just a disclosure tool available to end user. The directive says, well, if guarantee of origins are issued for a certain quantity of biomethane injected in the grid, then the registry for guarantee of origins must be connected to the union database. But there is an if. If there is no geo registry, then there is no issue there. And while it is true that the registry for guarantee of origins is a mandatory requirement for member states, the reality is that some member states haven't implemented yet, and therefore, you know, we are a bit in a gray zone. But what's important to remember is the if. So where does leave us? It leaves us in the following situation: that, as a matter of fact, the European legislation doesn't say that biomethane from third countries cannot be imported. Okay, the only thing it says is that once the biomethane enters the interconnected infrastructure, i.e. the single mass balancing facility of Europe, then the data related to the sustainability and the mass balancing of the exported biomethane must be uploaded in the union database. What does that mean? It means that if we are in a situation where there is a third country producing biomethane, as Vitol or Vigo, I can come to the market. I can have a certifying body, not the voluntary scheme, a certifying body, certify that my biomethane or the biomethane that I'm taking is sustainable. I can have that paperwork audited by an independent auditor, and then finally, once a year, further validated and confirmed by the voluntary schemes, possibly one of the voluntary schemes recognized by the European Commission. And I can take that biomethane all the way to the border of Europe. Once I reach the border of Europe, I include this information in the database, and I can bring that data, the biomethane, anywhere. In the moment when this country is also issuing for the same quantity of gas another form of certificate or guarantee of origin, then we have a problem. And that problem is that the fact that RED, the directive, says that that registry must be connected to the union database, because that's the only way to avoid, really avoid 100% double counting. So Ukraine is a bit of in a strange situation today, because the government has expressed a very firm commitment to creating a registry which works something in between a pure geo registry and a compliance registry. It's a bit unclear, and if the but because the most of the biomethane will be needed in Europe to go to the transport sector, which is a compliance sector, therefore no geo is needed. By doing that is almost making things a little bit more difficult. If Ukraine did nothing other than creating a system to allow the export of biomethane, Ukraine today would be better off. So that's why, when we talk to authorities about the opportunity of the export opportunity for biomethane in Ukraine, we say the following. We say, for the moment and until the geo registry, the Ukrainian registry, is not operational, just allow us to import to the European border on the basis of the standard verification cycle that you have described here. Before making the geo registry active, make sure that the day is active, it can be immediately connected to the union database. Otherwise, we enter a gray zone, and the export of biomethane will become practically impossible. Okay. Now, I know that there is a lot of political capital spent behind the geo registry, and there is a lot of people very much attached to this idea, and a lot of people would like to see it happening as soon as possible. But my invitation, my caveat, my point of attention here is, let's all be careful, because if we have a geo registry operational, then it becomes very, very difficult to export biomethane until this registry is not connected to the union database. So it's better to wait on that front and insist on an interim solution based on the normal way of certifying biomethane that we've had until now, and then continue the technical discussion. Okay, and my message is really as simple as that. Okay, I'm aware that there is somebody out there that believes that until the union database is not connected to a registry, then that country of another country, that country cannot export biomethane. But this is not the reading of the directive that we have. The reading of the directive that we have is based on that if. If there is a registry, then that must be connected. In absence of a registry, the verification is done on the standard methodology that is used, by the way, today when anybody is importing liquid biofuels to Europe. Okay. And I think I can stop here, and it would be helpful to have a few questions back and forth, and and see if I managed to be clear, or if you have doubts, or if you have strong views they go in another direction.
Okay, thank you, David. Maybe you will stop sharing your screen, and we will see all our group together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe before opening of questions, I will introduce our association for you. Your first time communicating with us. We are Bioenergy Association of Ukraine, established 10 years ago. We have more than 50 members at the moment. And more than half of these members working with biogas and potentially biomethane. All biomethane projects which is already under construction in Ukraine are in our association. I mean Galsagro, I mean Vitagro, I mean Teofipil Energy Company, Yosefa Mykolaiv Biogas Plant, all these companies who is already constructing biomethane facilities are in the association. Naftogaz Bioenergy is also a member of association. And we are actively lobbying this question in Ukraine. We are one of the initiators of initial law, which was accepted in 2021. We participated in preparation of governmental resolution on biomethane register. Just today, we finished the analysis of new version draft of this governmental resolution on biomethane register. We are quite critical about changes which government propose in this document. We criticized it a lot and sent official letters today.
Okay.
And also we are waiting now voting in the Verkhovna Rada this draft law about opening of export. It is in the line for voting from December 2023. Sometimes it was already in the schedule of the daily schedule of the Rada, but it's not happened till now. But we are optimistic that it will happen one of the nearest day or months. That in my opinion, our register is quite far from readiness.
Okay.
That maybe your suggestion easy to implement because you know situation. DENA is supporting our state agency on energy efficiency in the development of this register, but it was announced half year ago that it will be finished before this new year, but it's not happened. Now we see draft governmental resolution about quite big changes in the ideology of this biomethane register, and we criticized it, and we will not support this. And in my opinion, it's at least half year of this process that they will finish this register.
Giorgio, can you tell me? There is an echo. Oh God! Can you tell me briefly what are the changes that have occurred compared to the previous draft?
Exactly what you mentioned in one of your slides, that guarantee of origin is absolutely different from proof of sustainability. And they mixed together this in these changes. And one of requirements to be registered in Ukrainian register to receive guarantee of origin, according to these new changes, will be existing of proof of sustainability. that it's not possible to be registered in the register for guarantee of origin without proof of sustainability.
Okay.
It's nonsense in our opinion. It's absolutely different documents and yeah. And many others. Then we have draft. We have this letter. I could send you this letter, but sorry, in Ukrainian. And I understand that you also head of this task force for Ukraine in biomethane industry partnership. Yeah, that maybe you will be involved more deeply in these Ukrainian problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the task force to be activated, but we're still waiting from the secretariat.
We see two devices of yours, and maybe due to this we have echo. Maybe one device should be muted, and echo will be better. Okay, then
Okay.
I guess today in our group we have 26 participants. It's I hope biggest part of our association interested in the biomethane. And please, colleagues, ask your questions.
Can I go first, Georgi?
Please, Vitaly.
Hi, David. Again, as we discussed a number of times already, could you please also mention to everyone if there's any problem with the voluntary schemes and UDB going forward? Because you mentioned this to us at some point.
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Vitaly, but I
like the fact that voluntary schemes will not be accepted from by UDB at some point in terms of.
Okay, so what I kind of alluded already at this issue. What the Commission is saying, and in this sense they are they're kind of right. They're saying that the voluntary scheme will not be in charge or approving the mass balancing along the chain of possession of the biomethane. But this is relevant only for the space covered by the interconnected gas system in Europe. And that makes sense because with the interconnected gas system is deemed a single mass balancing facility. So the moment when you, as an economic operator, you are uploading the data in the UNO database, that's it, you're done. The volumes are mass balanced as long as you have the same quantities at the point of injection in interconnected gas system and the point of withdrawal. Where the problem came from is that in saying this, the Commission sort of hinted at some point that in general, voluntary schemes will not be in charge anymore of proving the mass balancing as along the chain of possession. In general, both within and outside the interconnected gas system. And so if that were true, then obviously you are left with no means to prove mass balancing before you enter the interconnected gas systems. We think that this interpretation is misplaced. We don't read the text of RED in this way. We read the text of RED as saying that once you enter the interconnected gas infrastructure, then the volumes must be recorded and registered in the UNO database, and that's it. But this is one of the points to discuss with the Commission for sure.
And then also the other question we had yesterday, there was a, I think, helpful also webinar from one of the consultants on the UDB and actually how Ukrainian economic operators can register themselves and their volumes in the UDB already. And they said that basically there was a deadline of, or there is a deadline of 15 January 2024 for economic operators that have been already certified by voluntary schemes to at least register on UDB platform. So I think this raises the question of first, whether the biomethane certified producers should register themselves by 15th of January. And what happens if somebody is not yet certified, is this a hard deadline, or the company can register themselves directly at UDB at some point later?
Okay, so I think there is a lot of information going out from the Commission on the various deadlines. I know it's not always consistent and it's not uniquely shared across all the market participants. However, we generally understand that for the gaseous value chain, so for gases, there is more time, because the Commission sees the November 24 as the start date of the UDB for the gaseous fuels. By asking that question, however, Vitaly, you kind of raised another issue that is still open. There is a bit of a debate also among different economic operators on whether every economic operators participating to the enrolling in the UDB
Схоже, пропав кудись.
We lost Davide. Internet is not great in the United Kingdom. We'll see if Davide can reconnect now.
Так, може, поки не приєднався Давіде, тоді просто поспілкуємося там українською мовою, ну, на цю ж тему. Ну, по-перше, цю презентацію, яку він робив, я після наради вишлю всім членам асоціації, вона у мене є, значить, я її перешлю, з нею можна буде попрацювати. По-друге, ну, все-таки я зрозумів його пораду не поспішати з запуском реєстру. Да? Тобто, якщо ми запустимо реєстр, то там чітко сказано в директиві, що для для країн, да, які мають реєстр, біометан з них має бути чітко внесений в UDB. А от якщо України немає реєстру, да, то інтерпретація може бути така, що тоді торгуйте так, як було раніше, по добровільним схемам з окремою сертифікацією. Ну, принаймні, я хотів би, Віталій, я правильно зрозумів?
На мою думку, так. І, по-перше, ну, є країни, які не мають ще реєстрів біометану, є країни, які не мають реєстрів ще гарантій походження в ЄС. І тому, дійсно, в такому випадку Давіде казав, що є варіант продовжити з цими добровільними схемами. От, ну і крім того, я думаю, варто сказати, що якщо у нас буде реєстр, то, можливо, з огляду на те, що робота вже ведеться над цим, да, то, можливо, треба поставити завдання тим розробникам реєстру, що якщо вони його будуть включати, да, якщо він буде працювати, то обов'язково треба поставити за умову, що він уже має бути підключений до UDB. А це, мені здається, абсолютно інший вимір проблеми. Я бачу, Давіде підключився знову.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
No worries.
So I think I stopped at the point where I was trying to say that that there are different views on the market on whether everybody must be certified or not. The Commission at some point had indicated that wasn't necessary. As an operator, we have a pretty strong view on this. We believe that to the benefit of the industry, it would be much better if all the operators were to be certified. including traders. And we understand that at least the ISCC has already indicated that for their certification, their certification guidelines foresee that also traders are certified. We hope that this interpretation goes through and becomes the one accepted by the Commission, because this avoids potential claims of malfunctioning of the market. If that will be the case, then it's a bit of a yes and black and white issue, Vitaly. So by a certain, it's not even like if you want to be able to participate to the European biomethane market, you need to be registered in the UDB, and therefore you need to be certified. If you're not, you simply do not have access. But it's still this aspect is still up for discussion.
Okay, Adomas, close to yours, and please introduce yourself for David mainly. For Davide, yes, please.
Davide Adomas Udiskas from MHP. I'm responsible for biofuel business. I want to, Georgi, to discuss about the question you had. This issue that once we have biomethane registry, we will need to synchronize it with UDB. But it also will include signing an agreement with the European Commission, which I think that will take even longer than technical synchronization. And we discussed, how to do, whether we have to say that we don't have it or we have it. So my position or my suggestion is that currently there are countries that don't have these biomethane registries, but they will be included in UDB. But in future time, they might create one, and then there should be a procedure on when this registry starts to work, then it is synchronized. So I think we have to have the same position. We say we are developing one, but until we developed, we should work as other countries without registries. We should be part of UDB. But of course, when the registry is there, once we sign all the required agreements, then we will synchronize it with UDB. So it's not that we either do one or the other. We say, no, we do first and then the other. So this should be our position, in my opinion. And I think it's very important to understand all of us this, because otherwise, European Commission, that's also my experience. They may start to manipulate, because I already spoke with them, and what they say, we are happy to include you, but you have to, first of all, have your biomethane registry, plus your biomethane registry have to be adjusted, because right now, the way it is designed is a bit different from what you need. But then when I spoke with Davide, he said, no, look, they're a bit confusing you, because there is another way. Because not all countries have biomethane registers, but they will be part of UDB. So I think this is very important to say.
And Adamas, I totally agree. Now, I'm not saying that the issue is uncontroversial. I'm saying that our view is that there is a way to be compliant with RED, which allows the economic operator to perform the sustainability and mass balancing verification as it has always been done in the past, outside of the geographical scope of the Union database. Then once you enter it's a discussion. Unfortunately, this is a discussion with the European Commission. There is a lot of players out there that are trying to engage and resolve this problem. If also your association joined forces and insisted exactly on the message that Adomas has shared now, it would be beneficial.
And to whom this message should be sent?
The chain of command of the Commission is very long. So the issue of the Union database is in the hands of the GNR primarily, or actually exclusively. So it's the line from the ex-Director General Bitte all the way to the technical level. We're talking about Caterina Sicomagni department, specifically the unit of Kitty and the team of Galin Genchev. who is the person in charge for the union database. These are the main stakeholders in Brussels to talk to. But because it's the issue has been made too technical, my view on this is that we need to find a way to address the political level. So we need to get a positive feedback from the level of the Director General or the Commissioner in saying that yes, biomethane produced in third countries can enter the European Union, and this can be done on the basis of the validation performed by the economic operators in cooperation with the certification bodies and the voluntary schemes. Until there is a registry, and then when there will be a registry, of course, all the connection will be done. So that's the message, and to me, it's a political message that should be sent at the highest level possible.
Okay, colleagues, next questions, if you have. And David, what about this working group on Ukraine in Bioenergy Partnership? What's the situation?
What's the situation? The situation is the following: the Commission has asked the Secretariat of the BIP, of the Industry Partnership, to engage in a review of the governing rules. And I know that on the 17th there will be a meeting where the new rules will be voted. Okay. Now the big difference between the existing rules and the new ones are that in the old ones there was one chair of each task force. While the new rules foresee that there will be 3 chairs. So it's not going to be only me. I've been voted already, but it's not going to be only me. It's going to be a representative from the NGO's world and a representative from a member state. Okay, which to me means that we may have either new elections or like at least the appointment of the other 2 chairs, and then we can start working. I have asked many times to the Secretariat of the BIP to at least kick off informally the group, so that we can at least start defining a list of priorities and areas that we want to work on, etc., etc. But they keep on telling me you need to wait for the vote. So all I can tell you, Georgi, is the more we put pressure on the BIP, the Secretariat, the better it is. Ideally, all the members of UABIO should be writing the BIP Secretariat, telling them that they've heard about this task force, they want to be part of it, and they want the work to be starting as soon as possible because there are urgent matters to be addressed.
Okay, we will do this. My personal experience, I submitted twice application to be member, and twice was rejected with justification that only members of European Union could be member of this working group.
Are you seriously?
Yes, seriously. I have 2 rejections. Then it's a little bit strange because group about Ukraine.
Yeah, no. I mean, that would be absurd. Can you? Would it be possible for you to share this rejection? Because
yes, I will resend to you this rejection. Yes, okay.
Okay, that would be very funny. Because ideally, I would want all the Ukrainian producer to be part of the task force. You all have to be in there.
I was wondering if you can hear me. Sorry, just adjusting my headphones. Davide?
Yes,
yep.
We hear you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. I was just wanting to follow up on what Davide said about addressing the BIP Secretariat. Georgi actually last night, he asked all of the colleagues in the group chat, in the correspondence that we have, to send emails to the BIP Secretariat asking when the task force is going to be starting, its operation timeline, what it's going to be focusing on, and ask to be involved. In addition, we also ask all of the UABIO members to get involved by just pressing the Get Involved button on the Secretariat's website, and then to fill in the application form. So there will be more people from Ukraine and more members actually coming from Ukraine. And I was also wondering if Georgi could share the email, the feedback from the Secretariat about saying that only member states can be part of that group, because I called the Secretariat a few times and I was wondering if I could in person bring up that issue, and I just want to see the wording. And coming back to what David has said about the Ukrainian register that we already have in place, but it's not operating at this point, I was wondering if we send the letters to the highest level of EU Commission and the energy community, phrasing that we already have everything in place for our biomethane to be accepted into the EU biofuels market, and just saying that the register is there, but we need time for it to be properly operating. How then do we focus on the fact that the interface for the UDB does not include third countries so far? I know it's just a technicality, they can easily add it if needed, but how do we then say that, bring it up to them? So there is no logic in their approach not to include third countries, and so please include that so that we can have access to the UDB already at this point.
I will introduce Anna instead of her. She is a representative of Naftogaz, Ukraine. Please, David. Could you react?
Well, I mean, it's all very welcomed. I find absolutely not acceptable that a task force dedicated to Ukraine that does not welcome Ukrainian companies. It would be pretty ridiculous. So I think we're gonna fix it. As I said, there is this governing rule issue hanging there, and they're using a bit this as a formality to slow down things. But the more pressure we put on them, the better it is.
Okay. Maybe summarizing your advices, that first advice to contact on the technical level European Commission with our question request, to give us rules to export Ukrainian biomethane on the existing scheme with voluntary schemes certification. And in parallel to find a way to our higher priority level and to contact on the political level with commissioner responsible for this sector. These two ways. Third is contact biomethane industry partnership to be members, to start operation and so on. The 3 points I fixed. Something else.
And then I guess like for you, it would be useful for me to be kept up to date on the evolution of the national law, because at the end of the day, we need to find a way to get the gas out of of Ukrainian territory, and if the law keeps on insisting on this to be done only on the basis of the GOs, certificates, whatever document the registry should be issuing, then Ukraine is kind of damaging itself. Like that's not necessary. There has to be some way in the decree that recognizes that a way other than obtaining a GO to export the volumes. And I don't know if that should be phrased as an interim regime until the registry is active, or in a different way, but it's very important, because the one thing I can guarantee you, that if Ukraine says you can only export if you have a guarantee of origins, and what Ukraine is saying there is that you will only be able to export when the registry will be enforced, but then at that point there is no way around to the requirement of RED and about linking the registry to the union database. Okay, so you're making the process. You would be making the process very, very complicated. That's what we need to tell the Ukrainian authorities as well. So that's for sure.
About that, David, it's very important that you've raised that. Georgi said it before, that in the letter that I think he'll be sending it within these days to the parliamentarians of Ukraine and also to the authorities, they are already putting a distinction, very clear distinction, between a guarantee of origin and what it deals with. The fact that it has no compliance with the RED, it just discloses the source, renewable source of the biomass that you, or the gas or bioliquid that you will be then consuming at the end. And the POS, the proof of sustainability, actually deals with the RED requirement, RED second, then RED third, and GHG emissions. So there are two very different documents. And so that you cannot mix the two, and you have to understand which one would be used for which area and how you then, and the scopes are very different as well. So we understand that, and we'll try to inform the authorities about the distinction.
Yeah.
And the question about period before 21st of November. Yeah, for this period, in any case, Ukraine can export on the previous rules. Yeah, then let's imagine that Ukraine will accept law which is stop banning of biomethane nearest time, and we have already some producers which are ready for export, and they could start export of biomethane, and they already certified. Their biomethane is already certified. Then they can already start soon. And in my opinion, before 21st of November, do you see any risk for this export?
So is there a risk? So this is, I think this should be sufficient and compliant, but it's not a given in the conversation with the Commission. But that's why I keep on saying, if we found a way to terminate the ban, then economic operators would be in a situation to test this and force the Commission to give a feedback. And that's why, like, if only there was no ban, we could have done it already today. We could have, because as a matter of fact, colleagues that are more hands-on on the operational aspects, they tell me that when you look at the interface of the new database, you can say that the biomethane is coming from a country outside of the EU. Already today, you can put that information. So I think that if there was an economic operator that today were to register information in there, it would be very difficult for a member state to say, oh, sorry, this biomethane is not good for us. So that is the most important thing today, and it's like, let's find a way to going around the ban on natural gas, and then we'll force the Commission to give us an answer on the rest.
Okay. Adomas, would you like to ask question, because your hand is open?
Just very quickly, we've already changed it, but yeah, Davide just identified that we have some sort of circular reference that our law says that we have to have a bioregistry before exports allowed, and then we say that we want to be included in UABIO without registry. So I actually did not realize this. So actually, it's a big issue. So we need to come up with some sort of changes to the law that solve this issue. Otherwise, it's a big problem, because even if we will be accepted in UABIO, that will take time, especially this agreement.
Exactly.
So I think we need to think on how to approach it. And also, I think that the current problem is that there are no ministry that is responsible for biomethane. Formally, there is one, but in reality, de facto, there is none. And I think that what we need to push is we need to pass biomethane development strategy at the government level, which would, I think, work very well, because the government will say that it is important. It is important to solve this issue. And I see that Anna from Naftogaz is here on the call. I think that Anna can also support this, and we can pass it such a pattern.
Yeah. Absolutely, Adamas. Like if they keep on linking the possibility to export to the registry, forget about it. Or it will happen, but it will happen in like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I'm really unable to predict. And as a potential investor, I would find very difficult to tell management to give management an idea of the timing.
Mhm.
Okay, colleagues, who next?
I have one question. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is if Ukrainian registry will not be accepted and UDB will start operating from November 2024. For Ukrainian producer, is any market will be able for transport sector for Ukrainian producer in each country, or it also will depend of the national legislation this country. For example, Germany. As we know now, we cannot
Yes.
sell our biomethane to the transportation sector of Germany market. If UDB will work, this will change or not? Thank you.
So, well, the problem with Germany is a little bit funny. It is now possible to import biomethane produced in another EU member state into Germany, and before that wasn't possible. And there was the legal case. I'm sure you're familiar with. Now, my way of reading that decision in that is that it only says that it only talks about the possibility or not to import biomethane from other EU countries. But that doesn't mean that the final ruling by saying that Germany has to accept biomethane from other EU countries, Germany maintains a right not to accept biomethane from third countries. The two issues legally are completely separated. So I maintain that, in fact, generally speaking, a member state cannot impose the restriction unilaterally. And recently we've had a couple of cases where the Commission intervened against member states that they were trying to do that. Now, unfortunately, what the member state can do is introduce more stringent sustainability criteria. And on the basis of that, they may claim that biomethane produced from a central country is not good enough. However, again, the verification is to be performed is a responsibility of the economic operator. So I think there is a way around that, in the sense that it will the economic operator will just have to make sure that its the certification of its volumes are done in a way that is consistent with the requirement of the member states. So I try to sum up. The general principle is that member states cannot single-handedly forbid the import of biomethane, okay? Because member states cannot define unilaterally trade policy. That is a competence of the European Union. What member states can do is have more stringent sustainability criteria, but that is not per se an issue as long as the economic operator makes sure that its biomethane conforms with those criteria. Okay, so I'm comfortable in saying that should there be an obstacle put by a member state to import biomethane coming from third countries, this can be either legally or operationally overcome. Was that clear enough?
Yeah, thank you.
Colleague, we are doing a record, video record of our event, but not but just for internal objectives. That we will have this record if somebody from members is interested to listen once more and to understand better, contact us, we will manage this. And we will distribute a presentation of David to members. Yeah, David, is it okay? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. David, maybe, yeah, we are in the beginning of a difficult process.
Yeah.
Maybe we will consult with you with some points if you are not against that. Especially on these addresses, to whom address and what, yeah, that we know something, but not so deeply. That if you allow, we will consult with you in these strategical letters and messages.
Yeah, absolutely available. And if any of the members has more specific technical question, I think we're happy to help. And I think connected in the call there is also my colleague Mila, who is the sustainability manager for Vitol, and she is really the #1 expert, I can tell, not just in Vitol but in Europe, on how to manage the certification processes. So I'm sure she will be available if any of the members have a question.
Mm-hmm. But the future of these voluntary schemes like ISCC, is there a future for these schemes in the frame of UDB?
Milad, would you like to take this one so you introduce yourself to the audience if you still
Yeah,
here?
sure. I haven't had a chance to say hi earlier. Could you please repeat the question, because I'm in a car and I couldn't hear quite well.
I mean, we have ISCC certification scheme is most popular now in
Yes.
Ukraine. I mean,
yes.
What's the future of this scheme in the context of UDB opening? Will we use ISCC scheme in the future, for example, in 5 years, or it will be something different?
Yes, I think we will, because firstly, production plants, they still need to be certified, and they verify, basically they use for verification for all these injections into the grid, but also if you have a production facility that does liquefaction, so they're involved in certifying this process as well. And afterwards, the distribution of the liquefied fuel to the distribution stations, this process is also under the certification scheme. So it's they still have a big role to play. And in fact, as Davide mentioned earlier in the call, I think the Commission doesn't fully recognize their role also to demonstrate the credibility of the transportation via the gas grid, the product coming from Ukraine to Europe. So I think they have a role to play. It's just, I think maybe the Commission needs a little bit of learning to understand the true value of such schemes. And I think someone earlier asked regarding registration of, if you're currently certified, it would be best to send your details to ICC or certification scheme that you're part of, and inform them if you need to share some, ask them directly if you need to share some information, because part of the supply chain has to be registered. Like if you have bio LNG, then that part of the supply chain needs to be registered already with the UDB. So it's best to contact ICC directly on a one-to-one basis, so you know your particular case. It's not a straightforward answer, I would say. And also earlier, Davide mentioned indeed the UDB, the test environment that I've been part of and is under development. It does allow you to enter biomethane or any other product from anywhere in the world. The technical aspect of the system are not limiting. So I still try to keep a positive look, and I hope that things will be settled in the best way for the business.
Mila, can I ask you one thing about the
Please.
certification process? Thank you so much.
Yes.
I was wondering, I looked at the ISCC certification basics and Red Cert basics as well, and they claim that transportation and gas grid is considered to be part of the transportation and thus does not have to be certified. And I was wondering whether in the case of Ukraine as a third country, that also applies, or is it that since it's Ukraine and it's a third country, the gas grid would also have to be certified in a way?
No, this is partly a European invention. Like now, because the European gas grid is interconnected, and they make this view of the grid as a mass balance. But in previous editions and before this implementation, the grid has always been seen as a transport. It never needed certification or additional rules in place. So you just need to demonstrate that you injected the product in a grid somewhere, and that you withdraw the product, and you just demonstrated traceability from point A to point B. That's always been the case. Yeah, it's like I like to say it's like moving the product by truck, but you have a more efficient way, so you put it in a pipeline. It's the same concept. It's transport.
Got it. And also, can I add to what Georgi asked you before about the fact that the question he raised in terms of whether there will be a need for voluntary schemes in the future and certification processes? My understanding was that the UDB working group and representatives said that it's not the fact that there will be no need for voluntary schemes, but it's the fact that at this point they are onboarding to the UDB, the economic operators, via voluntary schemes, and then at a certain point you will not have to be applying to the UDB and joining the UDB via the scheme. Once you have been onboarded via the scheme, you can go directly to UDB as an already certified economic operator and use it. That is the case, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically they gave this function to the voluntary schemes to manage your administration for the initial registration. Afterwards, during your annual recertification, is the job of the certification body. So it's this like third-party companies that check whether you actually adhere to the guidelines of the voluntary schemes. So during these annual audits, they need to check how you enter your data into the database and if everything is correct and so on. But that's how the interaction is. The voluntary scheme today, as regard to the UDB, has only the role of administratively onboarding you on the system, because you cannot do it yourself, or the certification body cannot do it. So it's the job of the voluntary schemes. And then they will use the UDB also for reporting and checking of information where the volumes kind of match. If someone is saying that they produce 100,000 a year, but then it turns out in the UDB system they've declared 200, maybe we have a problem. So things like that, it would be for monitoring and control.
Got it.
Okay, I see one hand. I guess it's Oleg Ryabov. Please, Oleg, if it is you.
Thank you. My name is Oleg Ryabov. I'm representing the Galsagro group of agriculture companies, and we operate the biogas and the frost and grain biomethane plants. And my question is not particularly to David, but to all participants, because I want to clarify for me and for all of us the understanding what possible next steps we can perform to decrease the risk of this export of biomethane, Ukrainian biomethane to EU export, not only from our government side, but from the UDB and European Commission. And I think that there are questions that can be in the field, not on our responsibility, but of our influence is, first of all, to strictly clarify that the request to be registered in the Ukrainian National Biomethane Registry for the biomethane export must be excluded from their regulatory acts. The first one, and the next is that the special requirement for our national biomethane registry to be implemented or to be put it into the operations is that it must be simultaneously connected to the UDB. And this must be one of the main requirements of the readiness of our national registry to be implemented. Thank you.
Actually, I think it's a very good idea, the second one, because people will be able to write in the law, because the law says that 1 year before registry will be created, we will be working according to POS scheme, right? So we will be able to export without registry. But once registry is there, then we will have to work with GO. But if we will have in the law saying that he has to be registry will be online only when it's synchronized with UABIO, and only when registry is online, then we need to show to customs guarantees of origin, then everything goes into the right place. If we, of course, we're able to achieve that. That's a good proposal.
My reaction that you know that this request to include as one of precondition of Ukrainian biomethane export, 2 documents is included. First, guarantee of origin, but with grace period 1 year, that after acceptance of this law. That right. During 1 year, they are not requesting guarantee of origin, that we have this 1 year. But the second document, proof of sustainability, they're requesting from beginning. That in this condition, I understand your idea that only proof of sustainability should be this document, yeah? And in this case, we will not need registration in the Ukrainian registry. Is it true?
It's this, or we say that we will need to provide guarantees of origin on export, but only when registry operates and is synchronized, so that the period between when we can work under POS is not 1 year, but is the period until the registry will be created and synchronized with UDB. If we'll be able to achieve that, then I think it makes sense.
Okay, then we have chance for this because this law is voting in first reading, and perhaps we have chance to change something between first and second reading. Then my suggestion, if somebody has a concrete text how to change this law about the export of biomethane, please send us, and to be prepared for this period after first reading. Yeah, we have only 10 days for changes between first and second reading, and
we should be on Monday.
Yeah. Okay.
Georgi, can I add one more thing? Just following up on your idea to provide any sort of adjustments to the wording of the legislation that will be discussed soon. One other thing, yesterday with Davide, we discussed the idea, and he had the idea as well, for us to provide him with the list of priorities for Ukrainian, for the export and also for production in Ukraine, what we have for the Task Force 6, so that when the group starts working, he already knows, he and his co-chairs that will be voted later on know what the priorities are for us from Ukraine and how we would like to structure it, as well as the concerns that we have. Document and send it to everyone, and everyone will add what they consider fit, and then we have sort of a general document that we can provide Davide with, so that everyone doesn't have to send him separate documents, and we have just one.
Okay, it will be very good if Anna, you will prepare draft, send it to all members of association, and give us some days, and we will react, and then we will summarize all changes and comments, and we will generate one document and send it to David. And for us, it will be also a very useful document. Maybe we will develop it in 2 versions, English and Ukrainian. The Ukrainian versions also will be very useful. for internal use. Please initiate this question. Colleagues, do we have more questions to Davide? If not, maybe...
I'm sorry, can I just add one more? It's very important because we have a lot of people here, and I was wondering if everyone already received the email that you sent asking to go to the website of the BIP Secretariat and to register there. It's very important, I need to stress it, for you to register and to apply for the membership, and specifically point that you want to be a member of the Task Force 6 that is focused on Ukraine. It is free of charge, you won't have to pay anything for that, but it's important in the regard of the fact that so far they have already confirmed members from other countries, not Ukraine, and we need to make the representatives from Ukraine the majority there. So it will be very helpful if you go to the website and you get involved via the Get Involved button and you apply for membership. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, colleagues, I will need some minutes more to speak with you in Ukrainian, but before let's say thank you to Davide. It is really helpful and actual information. I hope we will be in touch, and good luck, and thank you that you are with us today. Yeah.
Thank you very much for inviting.
Thank you, Davide. Thank you,
Ciao, ciao. Good day.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Колеги, маленьке питання. У нас ми планували от 12-го провести цю зустріч англійською мовою. І на наступний тиждень ми планували на 19-те провести, ну, давайте вирішимо, відкриту чи закриту нараду українською мовою. І ми просили двох колег, Аню Пастух, нашого юриста, і Віталія Радченко, підготуватись як два спікера. І, по суті, ці самі питання обговорити, але українською мовою, і там знайти якісь рішення. Питання: все в силі? Чи нам треба більше часу підготуватися? Ну, тобто, якось я не відчуваю, що ми на 19-те готові. Оце, власне, питання. Так, Олег Рябов, будь ласка. Да.
Дякую. Чесно кажучи, я вважаю, що нам би потрібно було трошки більше часу і трошки більше інформації. Я бачив, що вчора так само приймали участь у цій, скажімо так, онлайн-нараді щодо рідких біопалив. І ви теж, як і я, чули, що ще багато хто не знає навіть з боку UABIO або Єврокомісії. Так, ні, я про те кажу, що там вони самі ще не повністю готові, бо це дійсно досить складний технічний елемент. А щодо 19-го, ми могли би, скажімо, може зробити, знаєте, такий обмін думками або інформацією, яка в кого є, щоб створити у нас взагалі в спільноті нашій біометановій хоча б єдине інформаційне поле. Бо розумієте, так, якщо подивишся ззовні, там взагалі, ви дуже правильно казали, і я це писав в своїх пропозиціях, що дійсно, коли ті, хто приймають рішення, не розуміють різниці між гарантією походження, сертифікатом сталості, то це дійсно може призвести до дуже серйозних проблем з тим, що нас не зрозуміють потім, коли ми будемо виходити на європейський ринок і спробувати там щось робити. І дуже дякую, що організаторам, що зробили сьогодні з цю інформацію з Девідом. Тепер наше завдання донести їх до людей, що приймають рішення, і цю позицію викласти як дійсно не тільки, скажімо так, побажання, а просто довести її важливість, що дійсно такі необдумані дії можуть заблокувати нам, скажімо, доступ до європейських ринків. Може, це комусь було б цікаво з боку держави, ну, не буду коментувати.
Ну, от мені здається, що 19-го робити відкриту подію, ну, ми трошки не готові. У нас нема ще сформованої позиції. Тому, якщо робити 19-го, то це якась буде закрита нарада, типу сьогоднішньої, просто українською мовою. От. Якщо ми хочемо робити відкриту подію, я думаю, нам треба ще попрацювати. І так, виходячи принаймні з мого тут графіку, це десь буде вже тоді 9 лютого. Ну, п'ятниця, але там десь 9 лютого. Тому давайте вирішимо просто, як ми зробимо. 19-го таку скажімо, закриту подію, просто, ну, явно вона буде не остання, або перенесемо це все десь на 9 лютого, і тоді зробимо таку повноцінну відкриту подію, як UABIO Friday. Це питання, можливо, більше до спікерів наших.
Георгій,
Да, будь ласка.
сорі, я просто одну штуку скажу. Це те, що у нас до кінця січня міністерство має відкоментувати дорожню карту по синхронізації UDB з реєстрами третіх країн по гарантіям походження. Ну і, власне кажучи, звісно, щось не всім здається, що міністерство це зробить якісно. То нам треба також обговорити її і видати принаймні позицію для того, щоб, можливо, хоча б міністерство її використало в своїй відповіді на цю дорожню карту. От тому в будь-якому випадку я б хотів, напевне, щоб ми це проговорили ще цього місяця, да, до дедлайну.
Ну, давайте тоді 19-го, але таку закриту нараду тільки для членів асоціації. Да. Аня Пастух, там у тебе щось буде розказати на 19-те?
Так, добрий день. Я думаю, що так, підготуємо те все, що на сьогодні відомо. Представимо, обговоримо, так.
Тоді так і вирішуємо. Я тоді там на тому тижні розішлю запрошення, там, ну, так, приблизно як сьогодні, члени асоціації і всіх, кого ви хочете запросити, будь ласка, там немає особливого секрету, але так, ну, не будемо рекламувати цю подію. Ну, у мене на цьому все, колеги. Тоді, по суті, продовжимо наступної п'ятниці, 19-го о 15-й, продовжимо цю подію. Всім дякую.
Так, дякую всім. На все добре.
Дуже дякую.